Hello, everyone. My name is Mark from the Misplay Podcast, and you're listening to EternalJourney, everyone's favorite Eternal podcast.
Welcome to EternalJourney, the podcast.
Greetings, all my knights and Puntawans out there. You are listening to EternalJourney, the podcast that talks about all things eternal with a focus on limited play. This is episode 113 of the podcast, and today we are saying goodbye and farewell to a dear, beloved limited format, Revelations, the Sunset Show, here today. But first, I want to welcome my good friends on the show. As usual, joining me from one side of the continent is my good friend Darth Herman too. Buddy, how are you?
Doing well, man. Long time no podcasting, so it's good to be here.
Yep, adulting is rough, man. Scheduling with 3 different time zones is not the easiest thing to do, for sure. Then, of course, the other person on the other side of the country for us is John Holio, fan favorite. What's up, man?
Hey, fellas. Great to be talking to you guys as usual. And you're not wrong about this as a set that we all enjoyed a lot, but it may have overstayed its welcome a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely felt like it for sure. And we'll talk about that here in a minute with the show. I enjoyed it even when I was bad at the first iteration of it for some reason. But I don't know. I never felt like disappointed drafting it either. So
yeah.
We'll find out now how it is with the Sunset Show. You know, give it its proper send-off as we prepare for the incoming Cold Hunt is the next set that we may or may not be talking about a little bit at the end of the show. But you'll definitely hear from us soon as we start breaking down the set review, which will probably be the week that the set comes out, the way Direwolf does it. A little bit of quick housekeeping as usual. Catch me streaming live every Saturday and Sunday at twitch.tv/Jedi_EJ. Or, of course, if you want, you can catch the video versions of this podcast. And most of them are just audio for people that like listening to stuff on YouTube. But the ones that we do set reviews or drafts and things like that, as well as draft videos, you can find there on YouTube. Just search up Eternal Journey on YouTube. Giving some shout outs to the community that support us that we are absolutely grateful for. Luke Heiser, thank you so much. Gunner116, the only Eternal Draft champion ever to be had and that there ever will be. Chastity Weaver, thank you so much for the ongoing support and welcoming so many people to the community. Nitro Turtle, thank you very much. Fast Cookie, always great mood supporting everyone. And then, of course, Darth Herman 2, our very own, coming in with, oh man, I can't remember now. It's been a minute since I put these show notes in. But dude, it's been like 2 years you've been kicking it now, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like almost there. It's like 22 months, 23 months. Something like that. Yeah,
dude. Like, and you came on the podcast in what, the 30s?
I think we figured that out once, and that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Think so.
Yeah, you guys have always been with me for freaking 100 shows, man. That's nuts. You guys got to start figuring out what we're going to do for the old 150.
Yeah.
All right, then. Well, and all right. And one last bit of housekeeping. It's a little stale. You guys may or may not be remembered, but John and I did make a mistake with the time monument last show. I was going to say last week, but last show where... long story short, the monument transmutes in your deck or in your hand before you play it. So when you play it, it's an entirely different card. So you do not get the time influence from it. So you actually can't play it as a splash.
Yeah, my bad for that. Like the in-game preview doesn't show any influence on it, but yeah, luckily we found that out before we actually played the deck and cut it. So no big deal. But
yep. So shout out to everyone that was. No, it happens. I make plenty of mistakes for sure. Shoot, I make mistakes while I'm playing. So just wanted to get that out there for all of you that were listening and may have told us. We are aware and we appreciate you keeping us on our toes. But yeah, it does not work how the runes work where they give you the influence and then something happens because it is a transmute and changing in your deck or in your hand. It does not have the influence on the backside. Okay, well then, guys, are you ready for our final Pack 1 Pick 1 of the set?
For sure.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go through this. So starting off with Diplomatic Immunity, +0/+3 relic weapon for 2 justice. Summon, create, and draw a treasure trove. Yep, not on it. Muck Devourer, 4/2 beast for 5 shadow. Quick draw and stealth, it's a begrudging playable. Not really excited about that. Bottled Insight, a 1 blue fast spell for fast spell for 1 and a primal, draw a card, and then Amplify 2, draw an additional card, then discard a card. So some hand sculpting involved here. Not exactly a first pick either. Tandem Shield Bearer, 1/2 soldier for 2 primal. When you attack with exactly 2 units, they get +2 health this turn. Meh. Here we go. Now we're getting into some good stuff. Ursa Squadron, 2/2 soldier bear for 2 justice. Valor and Warcry. Ding, ding, ding. That is my first pick. Bloodspear Foot Soldier is a 3/1 Oni soldier for 2 fire and has Valor. Good, but not as good as Squadron. Finishing up the uncommons, we have Spear Frenzy Warrior, 4/3 Oni Warrior for 4 fire, Reckless and Valor, and Staunch Protector, 3/4 Sentinel for 4 justice. When you attack with exactly 2 units, they get Endurance this turn. Going into the uncommons, we have Bound by Oath, 2 time for a spell. You can either silence an enemy unit or silence a unit in the enemy player's hand. Distilled Rage is our next uncommon for 4 primal. 2 of your units go berserk. No, thank you. I am not going berserk for this card. And then finally, Gavel's Insight is a 1-time Justice fast spell. Give a unit +2/+2 and overwhelm this turn. If you amplify for 2, kill an enemy relic. And then finally, rounding out the pack in our rare, we have Inciter of Madness. This is a 5/6 cultist for 7 double shadow. At the start of your turn, steal and ready and random enemy unit this turn with less attack than Inciter of Madness. All right, starting off with you, Alex. Tell me about this pack, man.
Well, for me, it's going to be the most common, first pick common for the set, which is the Squadron out of this pack. It's the one that leaves you the most open. You want to be in green because then you get more Squadrons, and the more Squadrons you have, the better. Yeah, overall, it's a pretty mediocre pack. I mean, I don't mind this Combre card, but not so much as a first pick. I'd rather stay open, so I'm on Squadron for this pack. The rares, you don't often get to 7, and it's not set in stone what you're going to get. It's, it's kind of a tricky card that doesn't always work. So, yeah, I'm definitely on Squadron.
Show enough. John, anything to add, buddy?
Not too much. Like, it's like, I think for first pick, it's between the foot soldier and the Squadron, and it's not even close. And I don't mind if I'm already in Shadow and Insider, but like, as a 7-drop it can't block or attack into a pop, and it can't steal a pop either. It's like, it's pretty medium. Easy Ursa Squadron.
Yep, and I am right there with you guys. Ursa Squadron all the way. That's my boo. Her and I got a long history together in this long format, for sure. All right, then. That'll do it for our final pack 1, pick 1 of the set. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump on into our Sunset Show. First question off the bat. If you could summarize the set in 1 sentence, what will it be? Mine will be, okay, so they have shackles. I felt like I was playing around that card for the majority of this format. Anytime someone had a pause at 1, that was the first card that came to my mind. I played it several ways to try to get hide mine when I could, and sometimes the interactions were just like, how do you play around it? So yeah, that was it's a bit of a reach, not gonna lie. I could probably come up with something better, but that's the first one that popped into my head. I thought it was pretty accurate from my experience with it. What about you, Alex?
For me, it was Urza Squadron should have been an uncommon, basically. Yeah, that card was pretty overpowered for a common, for 2-drop with Valor and Warcry, I think, and so many decks were Justice because of that. It was just kind of took over the format card at a common level. So, yeah, that's what I would say. That's like multiple sentences.
I think Jedi nailed it. Like, that's the one I would have picked. But since he took it, I'll say, like, like maybe I just need to draw a topple. I've said that many a time in the format. Or, or like, so it's a Kako is another one that's come up way more times than I ever would have imagined. But
Oh my God, you're not wrong. Jesus.
yeah,
Like that rare showed up like uncommon level against me so often.
same. But like usually I could figure out that it was, and then I would kind of like play around it a little bit, and it usually worked out. But yeah, no, it's. So I just need to draw a topple. Come on, deck.
Yeah, probably about 3 months into the format is when I finally started to play around Kako as a stealth unit, like an idiot. It was so like I kept thinking chat was trolling me like, oh, it's Kako. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. Oh my God, it was a Kako. There was one time where I played against 3 in one draft. I was like, you've got to be kidding me right now.
No, and sometimes when you figure it out a few turns later, you're like, wait a minute, how big is this thing now?
Yeah.
So it'll be a
exactly.
7/7. Oh God. Or like, after a few turns, suddenly you're able to point topple at their 3-drop stealth unit. You're like, wait a minute.
Oh no, this is too late. I mean, I guess with topple it's not, but yeah.
Right. Well, that was one of the ways I figured it out sometimes.
Yep. Moving on to question number 2. What turned out to be the best archetypes? I think for me, honestly, it felt pretty clear, both formats. Iteration 1 of Revelations, I felt like Rakano was the front runner for me. People were really drafting these low to the ground aggressive decks. Slice Slash was just an overachiever because Valor just pushed the no block format. It's like blocking is horrible with a bunch of Valor on the board. And so these aggressive decks were just kind of 2 ships in the night passing each other, and it was something like Scythe Slash or Gavel's was it Judgment Insight? Gavel's Insight to kind of push through that damage and win combat. And then ironically, this in the second iteration of this format, when they flipped the pack order on us, I think it was Combre. I think most of the other streamers and drafters really feel like Combre, and of course, obviously, Justice being the common denominator between the two. Just having access to the Enforcer midway, Ursa Squadron in the beginning, and then Populous Controller at the top end, and obviously having access to Behold the Truth just made that deck pretty strong. And then, of course, Topple, Overthrow, pump spells galore. So those are my 2 for the pick. What about you, John?
Yeah, I think if I had to pick one for the entirety, I would just say, Combre, best cards in set deck. But like you kind of mentioned the multiple iterations, like maybe it was like Combre, and then at some point, like once they buffed Primal, I think maybe it was even Elysian sometimes splashing Justice, but and this latest iteration, I'm back on Combre again is the best. And like the thing in common throughout all those is like base time, basically. So I think time was probably like the biggest best color in the format.
Right on. Alex, what about you?
Yeah, I'm right there with John. Basically, time with something else, usually green. And the funnest archetype for me didn't have any time in it. It was just the straight Argenport deck, like when it was working with all the discard synergies.
Mm-hmm.
But most successful decks were like time with something else, and then usually a third color. A lot of splashing going on for me, anyways.
It definitely made you feel like witty and like you were doing something when you did the Argenport discard deck, for sure. I definitely feel like it was one of the most fun decks, so that's a good point. Question number 3. Which cards were you most wrong about during the set reviews? Which cards really surprised you one way or another? For me, it was tough. These formats just go on for so long. I guess I could always go back and read our set reviews, but I don't because I'm doing the show notes and I just wing it. I feel like Queen's Elite was one that it ended up being our preview card, John. And I remember I didn't give Tandem Attack enough credit, right? I felt like we identified that it was essentially Warcry 2, but I don't know. I guess I didn't realize how big of a player it would be. And once again, I don't think it was busted. I don't think like you're like, yeah, sweet, 3 Queen's Elites, we got there, guys. But it's still, man, like you were really happy to have those in your decks, and triggering them once or twice was enough to really swing it in your favor. So I was thoroughly impressed with that card, and I don't know. I really don't remember. I know I didn't give it a B. I probably gave it somewhere in the C, and it's still not like an A or anything, but I definitely think that one. And then Infused with Venom, I know I was lower on because I felt like leaving up 3 power was just a little too clunky. But it turns out with Valor and all these things that made blocking kind of interesting and difficult, sometimes you really could wait till you had the opening, and then giving everything deadly was, even if for some random reason it didn't survive combat, which 90% of the time the unit did, but giving it deadly also makes sure that everything that blocks it dies, which is huge as well. It lets you kind of get past the combat trick insurance. If your opponent does have a combat trick to pump their guy, it's still going to die one way or another. So I think those were the 2 cards that stood out to me as me being inaccurate on my initial assessment of them. Alex, what about you?
I think for me, Bottled Insight, I thought it was basically unplayable, and it does serve purpose in a lot of decks. For me, it ended up being like the last cut card a lot of times, but it's playable and can get you to the 1 card that you need.
Man, maybe I'm weird then. I fist pumped every time my opponent took their turn off to play Bottled Insight. I was like, sweet. But that could have been me. What about you, John?
I think I was most wrong about, I was definitely wrong about plenty, but like Nectar Snare Lotus, I think I was quite low on that one, and that it just ended up being much better. It just played better than and it did in my head when we did the set review. It was still kind of begrudgingly playable for me, but like as the format went on and on, I just kept putting it in more decks, and it always kind of overperformed, especially if you got a random Warcry or something on it. And then now in the newest format with Tribute as well, it's like even better than it has been. So, and then I think I was a little high on Bomb. I don't think I've ever seen that played, and I don't think I put it in any decks. So I was definitely too high on that, as well as Bone Mask, which is just was a little awkward as well in actual gameplay.
Yeah, I remember at one point I actively wanted to grab a Bone Mask, but I don't ever think I wanted more than one in my deck. And over as time went on, it definitely made certain plays a little awkward as far as, do you try to get the second card out of it or not? Do you put it on your bigger creature to make sure it gets through, or do you put it on a smaller one so it has 4 attack? I kind of agree with you with that one. I think that one was kind of very format dependent, and it just didn't really play out the way. Maybe it was supposed to be in like the Elysian deck, so you put it on these smaller flyers or something, or the Frayed Azri. I'm not sure. Next up, what were the most underrated cards? For me, it was the runes. I feel like I know we gave it credit where credit's due, because anytime you can use your power base to supplement additional value to your deck is a good thing, but I don't think I realized how powerful they were going to be there. It was like they were just not, they were like at the right power level where you felt like you accomplished something if you played them right and got the amplify. But at the same time, if you just kind of needed that 5th or 6th power that was undepleted and played it, you didn't feel like you completely missed out on something. I think they were very well designed. And of course, just to the point where I completely missed the mark initially at the fact that you don't have to be in those colors to play them. They're very easily just splashed. I commonly find myself splashing a Rune of Illusion, the Shadow one, at any deck that I can, as long as my power base isn't too restrictive by the end of the format. So yeah, I think I was definitely underrated on the runes for sure. John, what about you?
I would say Shackles. It's very highly rated for us and some other people, but like as far as like even this week, I'm still getting past late Shackles, and for me, that was a card I would even splash in some decks. And then like I feel like the main Discord still thinks it's like literally trash. So yeah, that's criminally underrated.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. There have been so many blowouts by that card.
Yeah, it's so good.
Like, I think the only card that comes close, well, it doesn't even come close, it beats it, is the, oh my god, the card from last format, the green Amplify one that just wrecked everybody's. Yeah, Martial Efficiency. That's what that card reminds me of. It. Right. And I mean, Martial Efficiency just has 20 times the flexibility, but still, like, yeah, that's crazy that people think it's trash.
Yep.
Alex, what about you, buddy?
For me, it's the Nectar Snare Lotus. It's like a lot better than it looks. It's seen late. It's really good in decks with Warcry triggers. So when it's with green and a lot of the squadrons.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like that card a lot more than other people, I think.
Fair enough. What were the most controversial cards of the set? I think everyone knows mine, and we'll probably save that for the soapbox part, so I won't go too deep into it. But Thorncrawler is my pick for the most controversial card in the set. Sending it back over to you, Alex. What do you think is what's your pick for the most controversial card?
I mean, I don't really have one other than just like stealth in general. I think they kind of left a lot of the table with the design and should have had like 2-drops and 4-drop stealths and just made it stealths everywhere, kind of. But that's about it.
I mean, the one problem about putting too many stealths, though, is that then it gets easier to kind of identify them, right? They can't have like an entire set full of a bunch of ninjas. I mean, not to say that they wouldn't do that in the future, but I'm not sure. I don't know. What do you think, John?
I thought it felt pretty good, where it's like you can try, like the way it was, you could try and guess to a degree what things were in most games, and then sometimes you were still wrong. I think with too many more stealth cards, it would have just been like throwing up my hands every time I did anything, like whatever. I kind of
Well, yeah,
like.
but if they were like only a certain amount of 2-drops and you knew all the 2-drops that were stealth and all that weren't, I don't think it would be that much harder. But yeah, it just kind of got old at the end.
Yeah.
Alex just wants the ninja out of his mind.
Yep.
Or like
Dude,
no
I mean-
flying stealth because it's obvious. Like you would know what it is.
I mean, the thing that would get me is when I just, this sounds bad, and but there's no other way to say it, is when I gave my opponent like too much credit, and I just assumed it's a good stealth cards. I'm like, okay, it's either this one, or that one, because those are the good ones. And then I just get blown out by playing a bad one. I'm like, what? Why is this even in your deck? Oh, man. So yeah, that was my little thing. John, what about you? What were your most controversial cards?
Yeah, I think Afflictor is like pretty controversial. Is like, I think some people are high on it and some people think it's unplayable. So I think that hasn't changed. I think it's still like, and me personally, I'm like, I'm still not exactly sure. Like I put it in one deck where it did fine, and then I think I've tried it again and it was bad. It's like I'm still not sure about that one. And then Ransack, I think, is controversial. It's another one where some people are quite high on it and some people think it's unplayable. And like that one kind of grew on me as the format went on, and then it like ungrew on me when they buffed Freydazri. But I think it's still fine.
That was my story whenever I played it. Oh god, that was so irritating. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll just ransack them next turn and Freydazri. Great.
Right.
All right. And my only way to break stuff Aegis is, but normally it was in a discard deck, so it kind of worked out. I'm like, all right, guess I'm pitching freaking ransack.
Yeah, I think you kind of like if it was like in your opening hand, I think against Primal you'd want to prioritize it before turn 4 just in case of an Azri, but otherwise you're like holding it until you have something you don't care to discard, or until they get like some Warcry or Alchemist on top, or Killer on top of their deck. So I think it played out a little better than it ever looked like it would.
Fair enough. Next up, what card had your favorite artwork? For me, it's a very close tie between Shockwave Elemental. That thing just looked like a ball lightning coming down the road, which was fantastic. It looks even better in premium. And then the last Carnosaur. They just did such a good job in those Carnosaurs, looking like a perfect mix between a dinosaur and a dragon that just looks absolutely ferocious with the saliva and the talons and the sharp teeth, and it's just great. Two of my favorite artworks in the set, hands down, for me. Alex, what about you? What's your favorite artwork?
For me, it's the Racketeers. It's like simple, it's clean, it's like looks like a picture of a painting of a picture. I don't know, it's really cool looking to me, shiny or not. And you saw a lot of them, so I would always like make it big and look at it.
Show enough. John, what about you?
Shiny Pop for me.
Fair enough.
Like I just love the whole what's that movie? Like War of the Worlds kind of thing. It's got going on, like sucking up a dude to capture him, and like with the premium treatment, it looks extra cool. Yeah.
Yep. Sweet. Fair enough. What were the best build around cards in the set? Man, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of had to reach a little bit for this because honestly, I think there was only 2 build around cards and neither of them were very impressive to me. There was Ring of Glamour, which was the Elysian one, right? Where you want to play stealth units, and occasionally I had an opponent kind of go off with it, but whatever. And then there was the, I don't even know what it's called, but the thing that looks like a wanted poster board or whatever. And every time a player discards a card the first time in a turn, you get either 2/2 or put a +2/+2 on it. Like I think I saw one opponent play it and that was it. And I never had a reason to play it. So whatever. So I went with D'Angelo Racketeers because I was like, that's a card that you want it in your deck anyways. And like, yeah, it makes you want to kind of do the discard synergy. So that was my pick because the 2 that I think were build arounds were kind of cop outs. So Alex, what do you think?
Well, John picked one of the cards that I think is just like a different type of build around as well, but I'll go with Glensapper. It's, get a bunch of smallish units that are going to die and then play out your Glensapper guys. So it's like kind of a build around. If you get it early, you can really like design your deck around doing that. So it's Glensapper for me.
Yeah, there were plenty of times where I ran 20, 22, or 21 unit decks just to accommodate the extra bodies for Glensapper guys. So I could see that. John?
I said D'Angelo might, like, especially once they nerfed it, right? Like, at 5, I don't think you didn't mind really playing, only drawing 2 or 3 cards sometimes, but like at 6, it's a real cost to have in your deck. And like, so that when I would have that in a deck, I would like, be way happier to play Thorn Crawlers, for example, because that just comes in with 4 attack and just kind of like other units that are high attack. Because like a lot of decks, I would be in Shadow and another color, I would end up with a lot of low attack units in the deck. So sometimes I'd even have to cut the might. And the other one I would say it's less build around but more play around, I guess, like Behold the Truth, where you end up like you do build around it some where you prioritize those 1/4 sentinels that draw power, whereas I really don't want those in most other decks. And then you play the games out where you like want to trade much less and you just want to go wide. Kind of the opposite of a D'Angelo might deck. you want big butt units instead of high attack units.
Yeah, fair enough. Was this a set, or was this set a Prince or Pauper set? John, sending it back to you.
Sure, I'd say it's a Pauper set, which is a common. So, yeah, Pauper.
I see what you did there. That's good.
Yeah.
Sneaky. I like that. Alex, what about you?
Yeah, definitely Pauper. A lot of the rares are just bad.
Yep, I'm right there with you guys. It was, I mean, when you were windmill slamming Ursa Squadrons and, pops, then like you got there. So it definitely, I think the power is definitely in the commons, which is essentially what you want, right? Like it's not bad to sometimes lose to this super busted rare, but as long as it's at the rare level and you're not seeing it all the time.
Yeah, and I think there's only 2 rares I would pick over a first pick. Behold the Truth, really.
Word. Yep. I definitely think there's something to that for sure. Most definitely, homie. It's a bad card, but I love it anyways award. Man, honestly, I don't remember playing too many of these. Normally one of them stands out to me where chat's like, bro, why is that in the deck? I'm like, because I wanted to be. But the only one I kind of reached a little bit. So Challenger's Axe for a little while there, especially in the first iteration of this format where I 7 wins with decks where Challenger's Axe was my top end. It was the only 5 in my deck. And I would just play it on a Berserk unit and pump something else, or play it on a flyer and pump a ground unit and swing in for lethal. So that being said, I can probably count in one hand how many times I've seen that card in people's decks all together. So sure, I'll go with a Challenger's Axe. John, what about you?
I said Well-Laid Trap. Like I probably played more of those than most people. And it usually played out pretty good for me, but I don't know. It's probably kind of a bad card, but I love it.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was going to be a pretty big blowout too, and like I felt like it just never got there, but I could be wrong. Like, I mean, I think the card has some power to it for sure. I'm not knocking anyone for putting it in the deck, but I could see that. Alex, what about you?
I'm on Afflictor. Like, I know I can admit it's a bad card, but it goes in the deck that I got the most fun out of when it works. So, Afflictor.
Fair enough. Question number 10, the I literally never win with it, but it always seems to beat me card. Rune of Illusion. It ruins me all the time. I feel like whenever I'm like, cool, I've stabilized, I think we can get back from here. Rune of Illusion on their big dude or Rune of Illusion on two of their dudes and swing for lethal, and Jeebus hates me. And then the flip side, when I have it in my deck, I'm like, well, I need my 4th power, so I guess I just gotta play it. Or like, sweet, I have Rune of Illusion and they're at 27. Awesome. Or I only have a 2/2 on the board. I'm like, FML. So that's it for me. Alex, what about you, buddy?
Like, Thorncrawler for me. Because, like, when I've put them in my deck, they've just been not able to block and don't do much for me, but my opponent wrecks me with them, so I have a grudge.
Okay.
I think perception is reality. I got wrecked a few times by him, so I just started to admit to myself, like, nah, this card's garbage. You're not losing this card. And for the most part, it worked out pretty well for me. I mean, they did, you know, sometimes I had to definitely beat my opponent into submission because they were gaining so much life, but we got there. John, what about you?
Yeah, Rooted Observer. Like, anytime I put that in a deck, it's nothing but a 1/1 ever. And then I've been, you know, beaten down by my opponent's 4/3s plenty of times. So,
yeah. Oh my God, you're so right. That's a good call. I like that one. That's a good one. Yeah, yep. That I draw him like turn 8 or 9. You know, the one time I like went ham on it, I'm like, all right, let me try this observer deck. I'm gonna take the observers. I'm gonna take all the stealth units. It was still like super mediocre. Yeah, my opponent's like, here's my 1/1. Oh, look, turn 3. It's freaking a 4/3, and you have no answer for it. I'm like, Next up, what was my opponent played this, so now I must win or quit Eternal forever card. Sentinel Mold. Like that card, I even think we called that out on the set, on our set review. I think we were like, man, this is way too slow, way too clunky. I mean, we gave it a little bit of credit for kind of accommodating what you already want to do by playing your units, but no, this card just never panned out ever. I literally don't think I ever lost this card when my opponent played it. And they were doing some great things, but it was too clunky and didn't work and unpredictable. And yeah, I just ran them over. Alex, what about you?
For me, tactical expertise, because that card is just so bad. And yeah, I have to beat anyone that plays that.
I don't even know what that card is. What card is that?
The life gain for a number of attackers.
Gain 2 for each attacking
unit. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Someone played that?
You took the card that is like, they're probably both just as bad. They should never be in your deck, either of them.
But I saw an opponent going crazy with their Sentinel Mold against Alex today, and
they actually did win. Did they? No, they lost.
No, they definitely lost, but they were doing stuff.
Jeez, I think they won. No, they didn't. Yeah. They did it. No. Fair enough, John. What about you, man?
Yeah, you took my first pick as well. I definitely would have said Sentinel Mold because I did see a number of opponents play that. So I'm going to go with Diplomatic Immunity, which I also saw played at least once. And then Reset the Day as well. Like, those to me are just completely unplayable. And I saw somebody play them. Yeah, when they played, I'm like, you know, I have to uninstall if I lose this game, and I did not, so I'm good to go.
I blame Hats on Lamps for the Diplomatic Immunity. He had an episode of Farming Eternal where he talked about, like, maybe it just goes in the Warcry deck, you know, and you get to draw a card off of like a 3/5 weapon or something. And no. I think the next episode he even like, yeah, so I tried it. It doesn't work.
Yeah,
there's just no kind of synergies that make that card worth it. All right, next up, what was the biggest groan test, or in John's terms, the oh my God, Azrog Street Breaker? Like, it just, even when you had an answer to it, you're like, all right, do I have an answer for the 2 Muldoons that are coming after that she buffed up? Like, oh, or you're like, okay, cool, I got some blocks, I got some attacks, I'm good. They drop Azrog, they swing, they kill your blocker. It's just like, oh my God, what just happened?
Yep.
John?
Yeah, it's a nasty one. For me, I would say Behold. Like, sometimes you just die to a behold, no matter what you did. Anything you did throughout that whole game just didn't matter.
I mean, at least you
Behold
didn't
the
have to
truth.
at least you didn't have to sit there in misery for a turn or two while you lose, right? It just kills you that turn.
Yeah, I mean, there was a number of games where it's like, all right, this is definitely the play. What do I die? It's like, what could happen on the crackback? Well, opponent could play Behold the Truth, and then like anytime that you like had already attacked, and that was the thought you had, it was already too
Yeah.
late.
Yep. Oh man, I've definitely warped my strategy on some games that the opponent seems not very willing to trade off units and they're in time. I've definitely been like, all right, I feel like they're playing towards a behold, so we have to completely rethink our strategy here. One small self plug, if you guys haven't checked it out, go on the YouTube, and I forgot what I called it. Like, I can't believe we won this, or we didn't die, or something like that. It's a highlight video versus Lights Out Ace, the world champion. And I don't want to spoil it. There is a behold in there, and it's a really interesting and fun game to watch. Very entertaining, to the point where I clipped it on its own and posted up on the YouTube. So if you get the chance, definitely check that game out. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to spoil it. It's a very back and forth and fun to watch game. So check that out as well. And then finally, Alex.
I like groaning a lot by the end of the format because it was, if my opponent played a green power, then I'm like, oh, here comes a squadron again. And,
Yeah.
Nine times out of 10, there came a squadron turn 2.
Yeah. Oh god, that happened to me so often. I'm like, okay, this is kind of a slow hand and we're on the draw, but as long as they don't come out the gate swinging, we're okay. They're like, green power squadron. I'm like, well, there's the game, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, what was the most frustrating bad card, quotations, to lose to? What card will you not miss playing against? What card really annoyed the crap out of you? Man, like, honestly, I don't feel like there was a card that I didn't like playing against, to be honest with you. I could be completely wrong, but in my head, I don't think of one card that I'm just like, great, what do I do now? You know what I mean? You can mention something like Behold the Truth, but oh, well, I mean, you're going to mention John, so I'll let you take it. But, like, I don't know. I liked that card being in the format. I appreciated there being some kind of stopgap to games just kind of sitting around and doing nothing, right? And it gave you some inevitability and whatnot. So, I don't know. Yeah, there really wasn't a card that I felt was annoying to play against, honestly. So, for me, I would probably say the bad card to lose to was Awakening. That was the, what is it, 1 cost or 2 cost? I don't remember now. 1 cost. So the 1 cost slow spell, discard a card to make 2/1/1 awakened soldiers, like, or just awakened people, dudes, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna, I don't think I've directly, like, I lost to awaken, but there have been some times where my opponent just kind of made these dudes that just hung around, and somehow I was kind of stuck. And I don't know. It was just, I felt like it was a bad card. I don't ever feel like it should be in your deck because the juice isn't worth the squeeze. But I saw plenty of people play it, and every once in a while, man, those 2 dudes either did some critical chump blocking or just kind of did a decent amount of damage. Where I was like, really, deck, really, this is what we're going with. So that's mine. John, since I kind of stepped on your toes a little bit, why don't you go next?
Sure. Frustrating bad card I already mentioned earlier. Rooted Observer. Hate losing to that card. Card I will not miss playing against, Topple. That punishes you for doing like what you generally want to be doing. It's like it's a common. It's like it's such good removal. So yeah, won't miss that one really. And then what card annoyed the crap out of me? It was Behold the Truth, and that's like, to me it was kind of annoying on both sides. Like, I would always draft it and play it. Like, I like winning, but it's like, it's a card that it's like, just win lol, or just lose lol. It's like,
yeah, true.
The only way I ever had a chance is if I had like a couple regen units maybe in the deck, or like, had my had my shackles at the right time. Like, otherwise it's just win lol.
Yeah, true story. You're right. You don't, not too much thought in it. Can you, is Behold in your hand? Yes. Do you have the power to play Behold? Yes. Then win the game. Fair. All right. And Alex, rounding it us off, man, what was your most frustrating bad card to lose to, and what card won't you will not miss?
So, like, the most frustrating bad card is kind of the same with the card that really annoyed the crap out of me, which was Ransack, which is usually bad, or most people in the decks that they were in was bad. I mean, if you have a lot of synergies going on, then it becomes a much better card and you want to put some in your deck. But, I pride myself on making good decks, so my opponent playing against me was super annoying because you're going to get better cards than what you have already, is my thinking. I mean, whatever. And then Squadron is a card I'm not going to be tired of. I'm tired of playing against it. I don't want to play against it anymore for a while. I know there'll be a few in the draft packs, but few and far between.
Fair. I could get behind that. We definitely saw a lot of them. All right, that's a good one. I like that one. All right. What was the bombiest bomb? What was the card you hope to open in pack 1, pick 1, or in your league pool? Sky Sweeper, which was the 3-cost 2/2 stealth that at the beginning of your turn you can reveal it, discard a card, and give it a +2/+2 and flying. That card would just win games on its own. And Guardian Angel, the 5/5 flyer for 6 that had endurance and would give one of your other units invulnerable to damage as long as Guardian Angel is alive. I love the flavor on the card. It played out great. It would help you when you're behind. It would help you seal the deal when you were ahead. It broke parity. I thought it was a great card. I would be happy opening either one of those cards. Alex, what about you, man? What were the cards you were looking to open?
Like a solid common or uncommon in Time or Justice, I guess. Like you said, the Sky Sweeper, the Squadron, Pop, things that you saw a lot of, but it was kind of the bombiest bomb, If it was just the one card that I think can like really swing a game is the double damage 3/3 it's a 2/2 for 3 that becomes a 4/4 for 5, and then it like exhausts 2 units.
Yep.
Is double damage. So good. Like that card just out of nowhere, you just lose the game, and it's just I love getting that guy in the deck.
Great pick, man. Great pick. I like that one. John, what about you?
Yeah, I'll skip Behold because I've already mentioned that plenty. So I'll go with some rares here. Azrog Streetbreaker, and then the one Jedi I mentioned as well, Guardian Angel.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning Behold. I forgot to mention that as a yellow uncommon that you wanted first pick.
Yeah, Azrog's a great one too, but I figured one of you guys would do it, so I went for something else because Azrog's just absolutely great. It's just a well-designed card. It's so solid. Like, it's not, you have a little bit of counterplay against it, but in the end, it's so good. What was the best common for each color? Maybe the best multicolor card. For fire, the best common I have either Blitzstone or Detonation Cannon. Probably leaning a little more on Detonation Cannon myself. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
For fire, I went with Detonation Cannon at the end of the day.
Alex, and looks like you went with Detonation Cannon as well.
Yeah, between those two, that takes care of the same unit that the Blitzstone would, and then it could also go face and just be lethal.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I actually realized I didn't finish filling this out. That was weird, but I finished the that's odd. Anyways, all right. Best time common, Populous Controller, right? Let's see. Pop for John and Populous Controller for Alex. Yep, pretty easy
Unanimous.
there. Yep. Justice, Ursa Squadron, Topple for John. Okay. And then Ursa Squadron for Alex. Yeah, I can get behind both. I think I like Ursa Squadron still more, even though I like removal, just because it's a little proactive and you're always happy to see it. Versus sometimes Topple, it could be a little awkward, but yeah, Topple does a lot of work for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely Topple for me. It's close though.
Fair enough. Shadow. Man, nothing's really come to mind for me. Probably Intimidator, another 2-drop that I liked. Oh, I skipped. Did I skip Primal? I did. We'll go back to it. Rune of Illusion. Wait, yep. And then Intimidator for John. Fair enough. And then Shadowpath Intimidator. Okay, cool. Yeah, sweet.
Right,
so, yep, awesome. I was literally just kind of eyeballing, like thinking off the top of my head. It's weird too because the draft packs make it a little harder to do it off the top of your head because when you really go there and you're like, okay, let me just look at the commons and uncommons for the set or the commons. There's really not that many. Which is surprising, but that's the way Eternal does it. And still our shows go long. Going back to Primal, Yeah, I think just Freightasry, honestly, for me, it's a flyer. It's difficult to attack into. It attacks okay, facilitates, some decent plays there with the thing. Oh my gosh, the face Aegis, and then of course it being an evasive flyer accommodates the tandem attacking a little bit better as well. Let's see, Freightasry for John and Freightasry for Alex. Okay, yep. Fair enough. I'm glad we're all on the same sheet of music here. And then multi-faction. Is Racketeers an uncommon or a common?
It's a common. That's what Alex picked.
Oh, is it? Yeah, it would be hands down Racketeers for me. John, you went with Concoction. Okay. Yeah, man, Concoction. I wanted to jam so much Concoctions in my decks, and like it just never played out. Either I couldn't splash for it, or I just end up not being Huru.
I would splash for it a lot.
How did it play out for you?
It was always good. Like, I would just have like a mid to late game Elysian or Combre deck usually, and then just splash a concoction or two usually in there. Like if I was Elysian, it would be a splash for a concoction and like 2 topples or whatever, and it was always so good.
Fair. Yeah, man, at some point I started to see him go late, and I was like, man, I would play all of these. I really thought that was gonna be one of the cards that I end up just playing in every deck, and it just never panned out that way. But I was very cold on Primal for the majority of this format, to be honest with you. I played it a couple times. Sometimes it was okay. It was never great for me. I don't know if I was probably just playing it wrong, so that could be part of it as well.
And there was a lot of good multicolored commons. Like I think every faction's multicolored common was quite good, right? Like so it was pretty close there. We didn't mention
the Grinahawk,
the Combre one, and the the Enforcer.
Enforcer, good point.
Scar one is also
even the red yellow one was effective at times for me as well.
Yeah,
that was a little medium, but I've definitely lost to it for sure as well. Oh man, I when I lost to the flyer one, it was so annoying because I had answers in my deck. I just never drew them, I'm just like, anywho. All right, fair enough. Yeah, I'm glad we were all more or less the same. I mean, granted, I think we would vary more at the beginning of a format, and then after we've played and hung out enough, I feel like our stuff just kind of jives and we start to quote unquote solve it. So it makes sense. All right, going into the best uncommons for each color. Fire, I have Evoker. That Ruinous Burst, man, there were just so many X ones in this format, and it broke Stealth, it broke Face Aegis. I liked it a lot. I liked Evoker quite a bit. So that was probably the one that stands out the most to me, but I could be missing an uncommon. I thought it might have been the Infernal Blast or whatever the 6/6 damage is, but it just, I don't know, it did what I wanted it to do when it was in my deck, but it just never felt, we did it, boys, So let's see, Retrofitted Sentinel. I like that card too, John. It just I guess yeah, it's a good pick. I like that. Alex, what about you? What was your fire card?
I'm like 50-50 between those two cards that you guys just picked. And I think it just depends on the type of red deck I'm in, the one I would prefer having. But Evoker was pretty underrated. It was pretty effective little unit. I liked it.
Sometimes it made things awkward for you to play. It was great. I picked off Thorn Crawlers. So yeah. Best time uncommon. I think this is by a landslide. Behold the truth, Alex.
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
Not even
card. Just cards. We've talked enough on this show about it. It's just great. Justice was a little close for me. I have Skysweeper and Overthrow Overthrow. Yeah, man, God, that card, it was expensive, but it dealt with the things you wanted it to, and at fast speed was so good. But Skysweeper just wins games, man. I can't tell you how many times I was on both sides of the field with the Skysweeper coming down on 3, and if it goes unanswered, man, it just ends the game in short order. So I think Skysweeper's up there for me. John, you have Orin Jailer, which I like as well. Go ahead and talk about that one a little bit. I like that one as well.
Yeah. So the cards you mentioned, I feel like were overshadowed by Topple, like both in picking over Overthrow in a lot of times, because Overthrow is double pip, so it's like not splashable really. And then like Skysweeper, I had so many times where it would just get revealed and not become a real unit, or I would pitch a card and then they would just topple it or whatever. So like that underperformed for me. Like I still liked it, but it literally underperformed a lot for me. And like Jailer was just always just pure gas for me. Like, you know,
Mhm.
the turn you played, it does something, right? It lets you get in an attack with those Detains, and then it usually can grow to a 4/4 the turn you played as well, depending on the board state. And then if left unchecked, it can just run away with the game. It just kind of does it all. And I would splash, even though it's a 3/3 for 3, I would splash it, and did plenty of times.
Fair enough. Alex, what about you?
So Justice has like the best uncommons, right? I've first picked a lot of these: the Tower Inspector, the Jailer, Pumpworks Engineer, the Sky Sweeper, the Off-Book Officer, and the Overthrow. All of those. But the Orange Jailer for me takes the best spot as well. It's kind of like the Sky Sweeper is great, but it can be interrupted before it's doing its thing, and then it's just a 2/2 for 3, which is wah. And you know, the Jailer is just always going to be good and do what you want. So slight edge to the Jailer.
Well, at least now you guys know why I am the weakest drafter in this podcast, and I have to bring you guys on the shows to lift me up. Nice. Where are we at now is the Justice Primal. Man, Grizzled Guard and Shockwave Elemental. I have seen so many blowouts from Grizzled Guard and then Shockwave Elemental, and then they buffed it. Like, that card wasn't good enough. They made it a 4/2. Man, between the two. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to give it to Shockwave Elemental because sometimes Grizzled Guard was really, it shined on defense. So if your opponent wasn't giving you some good attacks or a way for you to shine with it, it just kind of stood there because you didn't want to break it for hopes of getting that ambush effect. Versus Shockwave, just get in there, man. Turn sideways or blades out, and, you know, and get your opponent dead. And then, heaven forbid, you can combo that thing with Overwhelm, where you're just smashing your opponent to unbelievable depths of just, oh, yeah. So Shockwave Elemental for you, me, John?
So for me, it was more between Merciless Officer and Grizzled Guard. And I gave it to Merciless Officer because I really liked the way that you could play it as a 3 or a 5. And
Yeah.
it's like base stats are better than Guard, like once it's revealed and whatnot. And like it's just like a wombo combo with that concoction I mentioned earlier. You get like double the cards when it hits, and it's a huge berserk attack. So like, yeah, it's that, and like just berserk in general is a really good keyword for limited if you kind of build your deck around it a little bit. And I always liked having the guard in my deck, but what I liked even more was just having it exist in the format, so people would second guess targeting your 5-drop when you're in Primal. So
fair enough. Alex, what about you?
Yeah, I love Merciless Officer. It's one of my favorite cards. Love it.
Nice. Excellent. Shadow, Glen Sapper, and Alex?
Glen Sapper. But
yeah, fair enough.
I mean, like, Hypnotic Valkyrie's pretty darn good, too.
Yeah, it's a close second, but Glen Sapper is just...
It's just so too good.
Yeah. It's just great. You're never upset having them in your deck, for sure. Fair enough. And then going into our multi-faction. Yep. Okay. Man, I'll be honest with you. Off the top of my head, they're not ringing a bell which one's which. But John, you have Forging Trito, and I'll go with that. I like that. I think that's a solid card. I can go with that. What about you, Alex?
So I really like the blueprints a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good pick.
And then, but I like Tandem Training when it works. It's like a really cool card.
That's a fun one.
I drafted it one time and was not able to play it. I don't think I played it at all the entire game or draft, so I'll take your word for it. I'll live vicariously through you, my brother.
Collapse as well, like Honor mentioned.
Yeah, fair. All right, that does it for that. What was the strongest? Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, I added one for this one. So what was the strongest and the weakest blueprints? For me, I think Skycrag was the top one, just because giving something, like randomly generating something 3 power greater than what you already had, just already sets you up for success. And then you're giving it double damage, man, that's insane. So there's that. And then I think the worst one ended up being maybe the Rakano one, because you're getting kind of a unit in play, but it digs you 4 cards deeper, I think. So So I don't know. That's where I'm at. I think they were uncommons. We saw play, right? They did kind of see the heirloom side of it. So I think it's worth mentioning. That's where I'm at. I think that's where I'm good. Because even one of them gave you filtering, and then the other one kind of gave you reach, right? Still kind of did some damage, drained the opponent for 4. So I think there was some play there. And then one gave you overwhelm on a bigger unit. And that's where I'm at. Skycrag at the top, Rakano on the bottom for me. John, what about you?
Yeah, this is with no regard to any of the fixing that they could do. It's just for the ability, right? So I'm also on Skycrag for the best effect. And then for me, for limited, the Feln one is like probably the worst effect.
That's the draw 3, discard 3. Yeah, okay.
It's so hard to like sandbag power while you're at 7 and like have that be good or whatever in limited. I liked it okay in constructed decks, but not for draft. Like you mentioned, like it's kind of similar to the Xenon one, but that one just when you pop it off, it has that reach, or it's 4. It drains 4, right? So I think that one's like just better than the Feln one too. And like I've played the Rakano one for its effect a few times in draft, and it like helped me win the game or not lose it or whatever. So I don't think that one's quite the worst for me.
Okay, nice. Alex, what about you?
My power base is usually pretty stretched, so I'm not usually going off with the heirlooms, but I think John has it right on the head with the order. But they were mostly about fixing for me. I didn't hit the heirloom very often.
Word, fair enough. What was the mythic uncommon for the set? I mean, behold the truth, right? Like there's not even a discussion.
Yeah, by far and away.
Yeah,
not
that
even
card.
Close.
Yeah, that card just. We've talked about it plenty. It's if there's a card that won the set, it's probably freaking Behold the Truth. I mean, that card saw unconstructed play. It's powerful. What was the worst card in the set? The biggest blank, the most last picked. Mechanized Constructor for me. That 7/5 Sentinel for 7 just saw absolutely no play the entire format. There wasn't any synergies with Sentinels. The 7/5 stats just didn't really work. You had Pop at 6, so why would you go up to 7 in Rakano? And then I don't even remember what special text was. What was it? Amplify gave you a bonus or something weird like that? Meh. Mechanized Constructor, womp for me. John, what about you?
Oh, I wrote it under Alex, my bad. So I thought that your card was the card that I wrote, which was Manufactured Force. They sound kind of similar. That's like the 1/3 factionless stealth unit.
Yes. Oh my god. Yep. Okay, that's a good one too. Yeah. The 3/1 saw some play because it traded with Valor, but yeah, that 1/3 was just fine. The 1/3. Yeah, I didn't even know its name. Manufactured Force. Yeah, if you told me that, I would have.
I literally thought yours was that name. I was like, oh yeah, good pick, Jedi. And then I was like looking at the cards. I was like, wait a minute, this is the Rakano one.
Yeah. What about you, Alex?
Like for me, it was like, I mean, a lot of the commons and uncommons made the deck, so the cards come from the rares, like Amar Dark Summoner, the 2/1 for 3.
What a crappy card.
Like a life for a life. I don't think no one's ever played that. Voltage Generator. I don't think I've ever seen anyone play that. The Undercover Enforcer. Like you can't make that one a 3/3 stealth at least if it's the ultimate ability is kind of lame. Yeah, I don't know, man. They didn't really hit the mark with those multicolored rares for me.
Mm-hmm. Alex just throwing down the straight judgment, man.
I'm sorry, I'm over it.
No, it's legit, man. We can't pull punches on Direwolf. We're gonna give him some kudos later on, so we can't pull punches now. Fair enough. All right, which card was the most begrudgingly playable? Ransack and Thorncrawler for me. It was like what you said, Alex. Those cards never performed for me. And I understood. I mean, I definitely don't feel like I have a read on the format that no one else does. I'm like, you guys are all wrong and I'm the right one. But oh my gosh, like every time I had to put those cards on my deck, I was just like, and sure enough, they always underperformed every time. I'm like, ransack for 2 of my opponent's powers, and then they play their bomb, and then they ransack me and they take, my Behold the Truth and my rare or something. I'm just like, So that was for me. Alex, what about you?
Like begrudgingly playable. I don't really have one of these. Like a lot of the cards are playable, so maybe like a well laid trap. It's like okay, I guess. Begrudgingly playable.
All right, fair enough. John?
For me, it was like basically a tie between the two common 5-cost Shadow Stealth units, like the Muck Devourer, and then like the one I actually picked is Toxic Cloud. Like I always hated it when I needed to play those in my decks, and there they are.
Yeah, fair. I can get behind that. That's a good pick. Let's see. Is there a card you will miss drafting? Noble's Enforcer and Detonation Cannon for me. I liked Detonation Cannon quite a bit. I like the fact that it was good early. It was good late. It had some play, multiple levels. Like, do I just fire this off right now to get the, trigger off the detonate or to kill, an X2, or do I wait to get a detonation? Or if it was in your deck, you're like, okay, cool, we got him down to 8. We just gotta wait to draw our cannon. So I'm gonna miss drafting that card. I think it wasn't overpowered, but had a lot of play and decision making to it. So that's my pick. John, what about you?
Telekinetic Shackles. Like nothing gave me
yeah.
that warm and fuzzy, like having a Shackles in my hand in the format. Love that card, and it's one I'd play, easily. Like usually, most of the time, I think I had 2 in a deck where I was playing it, but I'm happy to even play 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think as a drafting crew, we were all higher on it than it feels like the majority of people. But I mean, that thing continued. I was never disappointed having it in my deck, so I feel you on that. Alex?
Well, Merciless Officer for me, I really like that unit a lot. Blue was open a lot, so we get rewarded a lot.
Get rewarded a lot on. What was the Johnniest card? Yeah, what was the Johnniest card? Rune of Reholio Value Train. Yeah, I think that's right. John was just big proponent of Rune of Illusion, and man, it always paid off for him. Oh, no, my bad. The bounce one. That's what it was. The time one. You played it in Constructed. You played. Yeah, there you go. That's what it was.
Okay. I mean, I just liked these. I was probably higher on these runes than most people. I loved them.
Yeah, but no, you were jamming that time room every which way you can to great success. So I think that was definitely your card. Rampaging Commando for Alex.
Yeah, I answered Alex's when I said Rampaging Commando for him, probably.
Yeah, oh yeah. Alex is all about going blades out, man. If he can gale his opponent before playing a 4-drop, he's happy. So yeah, I can dig Rampaging Commando. And then, Noble Enforcer, big clunky dude that gets in there. I like that. For me, I'm all about playing big dudes and smashing, man. If I could play dinosaurs, then I'm all about it. Terry T. Okay, what was Jedi's soapboxiest card? Thorncrawler. It just, oh man, it just never lived up to the hype. I think we were low on it in the set review, and then you guys came around on it, and the community in general was like, man, no, this card's got some play to it. And I maybe initially got gotten by it just because I just never assumed my opponent had it right, because to me it was a bad card. And so I did get got by it a couple of times, but once I realized people were playing it, I don't think I ever got blown out by this card ever again. It just, can't block is just such a huge liability to me in limited. And yes, it has lifesteal. Yes, that makes a difference, but sometimes it just doesn't. And then you're just stuck with a card there. It's like, great, because it can't block, and because of things like topple and stuff like that, it's a little easier to identify when they have it, and when they do, it's really easy to play around because it is a 1 toughness unit. And then later on, when I started to play it a couple times, it just underperformed, and I made a point of showing how it performed when my opponent played it. Then chat was like, oh well, you needed an aggressive deck. I'm like, okay, sure, but I mean, at that point, you can make the argument that any 2 or 3 drop is good in an aggressive deck. Like, honestly, those aggressive decks just want low costing bodies. But I don't know. I came around on it a little bit. Once again, I'm not that good of a drafter where I think the entire community is wrong. but I will continue to push the fact that I don't think the card's particularly well. And surprisingly, I think in the second iteration or third iteration of the draft format, I've seen them less and less often, to be honest with you. And I don't know if that's just me with less people drafting or just the fact that they actually has gone down on people's pick orders. But I don't know, that was the card that's clearly my soapboxiest card. I don't think there was another card in this format that I've had to have more discussions with people about than not or whatever. I don't know if you guys have anything to add.
Soapbox card. I mean, I just said, just play Thorncrawler already. Come on, dude.
I mean,
get on the Thorncrawler train. Let's go. Choo choo.
I did play it, and then it was not very impressive in the slightest for me.
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah, clearly. Just like with Sunset Priest. All right, that'll do it for that one. Let's see. What card do you still have to read when it's cast against you? I wrote Retrofitted Sentinel because I always forget whether it gives itself charge or gives the unit it buffs charge or what, so I read that a couple of times just to remember, okay, it's either a +2/+2 to the unit or it gets charged. Got it. But then Valkyrie Station, because I was always like, okay, when do you get the armor? When do you start getting Valkyries? And then what else does this thing do? So
nothing and never.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So those are the two I wrote in there. What about you, John?
Yeah, I said Stalking Assassins, like that shadow uncommon stealth unit, that something whenever something ultimate whatever guy.
Got it. Fair. That works. And it was stealth, so you didn't have to read it until it did.
It was a 3/2 for 2, so I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. Theoretically, it did some stuff. Whatever.
What about you, Alex?
There's like a card that always like confuses me with how it works or whatever it's going to get, like the Inciter of Madness. It always throws me off. Like, what is it getting exactly? What can it get? So
yeah, that's a good
like
pick too.
What does this blueprint do? Like I have to like read it. I have no idea what the heirlooms are.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah, definitely when it's a cycle, because then you have one in your head and realize that it may or may not be the one you're thinking of. And some of them are pretty particular, like copy this unit, put it in your hand, or buff this one, pull this one out of your void and give it this. And you're like, what? Huh? Yeah, that's a good one. I could get behind that as well. All right, closing things off, we're almost there. From a design/development aspect, how did this set fare? How were the mechanics? What were some of the wins and losses? I typically go first on this one. I'm long-winded, so let's change it up a little bit. Let's send it over to you guys. Alex, go ahead and take point on this one. Then we'll send it over to you, John. What do you think of the set overall, man? Highs, lows? Talk to me.
So, like, I enjoyed it. I liked the stealth at first. Kind of got bored. It was kind of predictable what your opponent had unless they had the rare, which John was talking about, Kako. That was one that would get you a lot as a 3-drop. But like I said, I think they could have done maybe more, thrown in a couple, maybe 2 and 4 drops, just have the from 2 to 5 units that have stealth or something like that. But Valor, I really liked a lot. It's a really aggressive mechanic, which I like being aggressive. So I think Valor really hit the nail on the head for me. And then also attacking with 2 things, I thought that was going to be kind of weird, but yeah, a lot of times you can work that out and get some good advantage. So I kind of like the attacking with 2 things synergy stuff. So overall, pretty good. I'm just definitely ready for a move on. Overall, I'd probably give it like a B- for the set.
Fair. Well put, man. I like that. John, what about you?
I liked the set overall. Like, I think it was the most balanced draft format in a long time color-wise. So, quite good overall, and especially after some much-needed primal buffs early-ish on in the format. I think stealth really shined in draft versus constructed in particular, and I liked the mind games on both sides of the field, and felt really good about mastering the guessing game, I feel like. I think Valor was fine. I wasn't as high on it, I think, as you guys, but it's a strong mechanic, don't get me wrong. I just didn't like it as much, I guess. It really fed into the whole attacking good, blocking bad mentality, which, it was at least an interesting change to general draft play. And I think Tandem, which is what we call the attacking with 2 guys, I think it made games a bit more interesting than initially it appeared it would on the surface. So I think that was good as well, yeah. And it's like the synergy deck thing. They really only had the discard synergy deck, and I was not too big on that one personally. So I don't know. Yeah, I'd rate it around overall like a B for enjoyment level.
Yep, you guys hit the nail on the head on everything. I'm on a B for the set as well. I think Valor was great. I like the mechanic. I don't want to see it in every format, but I do like it. It definitely makes certain counterplay interesting. And then the discard thing, it was unique. I don't think the deck really came together where you were hoping to be in the discard. It's just kind of you played with a little bit of discard value, but I like the new twist they took on the discard mechanic, and I like that quite a bit. Same thing like you guys mentioned, so I'll keep it short. Tandem was great. Initially, I thought it was going to be clunky, but I like the depth of it, of whether you wanted to activate your tandem attack that turn or not to get bonuses, and then your opponent trying to figure out how to predict blocks or attacks based on whether you were gonna tandem attack or not was great. I thought that was fantastic counterplay in that. And then yeah, the stealth thing was really neat. I think it definitely added a lot more complexity to the draft format and attacking, and just the extra play like you mentioned, John, of trying to figure out whether you wanted to figure out what it was, or whether they're going to attack or not, or even just figuring out how you wanted to break a stealth, right? Did you want to attack to kind of pull the block? Did you want to double or trigger block to make sure you get the unit dead? Or did you want to burn a detain or ruinous burst, or even the intimidator? I think the set was very well designed, so I'd probably give it somewhere between a B and a B plus. It just for some reason never really captured me where I was super excited to draft the whole time. But I didn't feel bad drafting it either. I mean, case in point, we've been in this set for a very long time, what it feels like, and I'm still fine drafting it. So I think that's what's keeping me from making it an A, right? But there was some very good plays. There were some powerful rares that you had fun playing with, but still it was in the common, uncommon level. So yeah, I like that as well. I think you guys did a great job breaking it down. And I think, like you said, John, about the color fixing, you really could play, or pairing, you really could play any faction or any combination of factions you wanted in this format, and it was completely feasible. You never felt like you were completely unempowered against everybody else. So very good call there on that one. Let's see. What did this format teach you? How did this format make you better at limited? What are the takeaways? I could have swore I wrote some down for this, but apparently I didn't. So, John, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I definitely learned, what to prioritize as far as during the drafting and during gameplay, when you're essentially not allowed to block ever. It's like, so that really made me prioritize picking certain cards, certain stats of cards, and then like maybe take the turn off from committing more to the board just so I can keep that shackles ready or whatever, like. Yeah, this was a format that punished blocking a lot of times, so I like to be the one doing the punishing.
Fair enough. Alex, what about you?
Man, as far as teaching me about limited, I don't really got much to say. Takeaways, I guess, be careful about pauses.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny with the shackles. It was like what is it? Telegrammed all day long that they have it from like turn one. But I guess what I take away from it is that you just gotta play into it, make them use it.
Yeah, it was like playing around martial efficiency in the prior set. It's like the earlier you can rip off the band-aid, the less bad it's going to be for you at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly, because they have less power and less units to take advantage of it. Very good call. Yeah, and I guess for me, just to reiterate a little bit on the tandem attacking, I think that was great. I think I agree with you, Alex. I think you mentioned a very good point as far as just kind of certain combat tricks that sometimes you just can't play around. You got to make them use it. The other side of that is just attacking, right? Do you want to trigger the tandem attack here? Do you want to just do the conservative thing and get in with your flyer? Do you want to, send it into suicide units? Do you want to try to force the combat, force the block? It just, there was a lot of play there, and it definitely added depth into combat. And I think it was definitely made me really kind of contemplate how to capitalize on things. Sometimes you want to play your tandem attack activating unit pre-combat, you know, to get that trigger, especially like the endurance, the stalwart defender, things like that. So I think I learned a lot more depth of combat for sure. For me, this is my biggest takeaway, because like I said, sometimes it's not the easy A space. Sometimes it's better to get the, you know, 2 extra damage off of your Vanguard versus sending in a unit that may or may not trade. So that's where I'm at. Favorite card in the format? I would have to go with Azrog, man. Gosh, that girl was just so... That was one fun giant to play with. I loved having her in my deck. It made me really kind of hone into to my A game when she was on the other side of the board. So I think she made me play better on both sides of the board. So I'm going to have to say Azrog, with a very humble honorable mention to Behold the Truth, because gosh, do I love Overrun. It's exactly what I want to be doing, is just all the big things just raw. So that's it for me, John.
Yeah, I you know, I it was a love-hate relationship, I guess, but I went with, you know, the card I would always want in my deck, and that would be Behold the Truth. Yeah.
You know, and I feel like it was well designed. I feel like I liked the fact that they started off where sometimes just giving the +1/+1 and overwhelm was the right thing to do to get in the additional combat or additional damage, or just to win combat, to make it really bad blocks for your opponent. And then, you know, 7 felt fair. If you got to 7, you know, occasionally it would feel like a race, but not really, right? The 7 doesn't happen right away and doesn't always happen on turn 7. So I think the card was well designed. They end up nerfing it and giving it, going from a +3/+3 to a +2/+2 on the Amplify, but the card's still great. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I think it was fair, but like I said earlier, it was kind of a just win lull. Like, the only time it wasn't just win lull was when it was, you were probably going to do it for 1, maybe you had to combine it with one other card and like consider what if they have like shackles or whatever. But like, yeah, sometimes you could find yourself in a board state where it's like, man, if I just Behold for 1 this turn, I can actually win here. Yeah, had some
Alex,
play to it, but yeah, no, I don't think it was overpowered. And in fact, I don't think the nerf even really hurt it for draft.
No,
Like, they
I
said
agree.
it was for constructed, which I'm like, whatever. Like, it was for me when I had in constructed decks, I was often just playing it for 1 anyway.
Yeah, that kind of... So they said that it was for constructed purposes?
In the patch notes, yeah, they were like, yeah, we nerfed this for constructed. And I'm like, I don't know about that, but okay.
Which seems so weird, because it seemed like just a one of in the market. So
right.
How, that's so odd, especially in a format where Feln and Skycrag were a thing.
That's what they said.
So, yeah, it seems so odd. So odd. Because constructed, I would say it was far from suppressive, or oppressive, I should say.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Alex, what about you, man?
So I really like me a Sanity Scorcher. Talked about it earlier. Just a great card. And then honorable mention for the Merciless Officer. I like the everything about it, the design, the stealth, the get him with the berserk out of nowhere. I just like it.
Flexibility.
All right.
Also, for the Behold the Truth, people did not play it for 1 nearly as often as they should have. I did notice that. They would hold it on for dear life to play it for 7. When turn back time was like pushed and in there a lot, I did it a couple times where you, for 5, do like a mini one where you cast it twice.
Yeah, twice on the same turn for 1.
For 1, yeah, and it would get your opponent.
Alex, you animal. What a beating. Jeez, Alex. Can't take you anywhere, man.
Right.
Gosh. Just smashing people. Fair enough. All right. Bonus questions. Gosh, John, we keep leaving this one in the notes, but honestly, man, like, unless you're around, I don't know if it's because I'm always talking to people, but some of them don't really resonate with me like they do you. I don't know how you hear all of the animations. I know Alex plays with it on mute. So best voice line. I really tried, dude. I tried so hard, man, but nothing comes to mind. You do have your Noble Enforcer, so throw it down for us.
Yeah, Noble Enforcer, when you play him, he's like, papers, please. And it's like, it sounds, it makes him sound like all innocuous, but he's about to smash your face in.
Yeah,
He's like,
it's
"Oh, you
pretty
don't
abrupt.
have your papers. Oh, okay, I got something for that." And like, also, it's just a PC game I really like called Papers, Please. I don't know if you ever played that, but
No, I have not.
it's
Break it down
awesome.
for us though.
Sure,
Wha- wha-
it's like a it looks like an Atari game or whatever. It has a great soundtrack, and you're just like a border agent for some made up country, and it's like basically like a find the difference kind of game, but you're like under all this time pressure, and then like your supervisor just like want you dead or whatever, and it's like got this whole subplot thing going on. But it's like some indie game from a few years ago. I love it.
Oh my gosh, that sounds hilarious for some strange reason to me.
It is. It's got a lot of humor to it too.
Your boss is like breathing down your neck.
Yeah, it's all like it's like a fake, like Russian language country, like Ostroyska or something. I don't know. It's just it's got this whole like Cold War vibe or whatever to it.
Send me a YouTube link to like gameplay. I want to check it out.
Sure.
All right, fair enough.
What about you, Jedi?
I can't think of one. Like, I'm sure if I sit down on Eternal Warcry and listen to him, one will stand out to me. But off the top of my head, like literally, I can even tell. I love playing Racketeers and Ursa Squadron, and neither of those voice lines pop into my head right now at all.
Basically,
Like,
I know.
isn't
The what?
Doesn't Ursa Squadron say like for honor or for rise or something like that?
I can't even remember what she says. It's nothing
And I
too
played
exciting.
Yeah, it must not be exciting. I know I'll get the best ones. John will like mimic them, and then I'll be like, "Oh, that's the voice line for that card." Okay, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. I just let John kind of set the standard for us. Did I write this in there, or did you, John? What's this picture?
Yeah, I don't know.
Jenny?
You've got a picture of our preview card. It might be a holdover for some prior notes.
Oh yeah. It was just that's all it was. Okay, so we could delete that. Okay, cool. All right, so there we go. That is our Sunset Show, saying farewell to Revelations. We learned a lot. We got excited about some things. We got sad about some things. We argued about some things. And you've been here for a smidge too long, but it was definitely a fun ride and we enjoyed it. And like I said, even for some reason, the first iteration of this format, I don't know if it's just because I wasn't drafting a lot at the time. I just got my new second job and things or what, but I did so bad the first time around on this format. I still enjoyed drafting it. So thank you so much for the good times, Revelations. We appreciate you.
It was a good set.
Yeah.
As much crap as I talk, please keep making it.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. All right. So with that, I keep forgetting about Constructed Corner because I'll be honest with you, I haven't been doing show notes lately. We've just kind of been winging it because we're that experienced veteran podcasters. But, we have Cold Hut coming out. We've decided just for the sake of brevity and keeping the show a little smooth, we're not really going to go too in depth because it is spoiler season. So we have a bunch of cards coming out and we are going to probably end up our next one, depending when we can schedule it, will probably be our commons and uncommon set review. So we'll be talking in depth about all the cards, but we do want to just mention that, it's coming out. It looks like there may or may not be a hero, quote unquote, focused mechanic, that they're changing the card frames a little bit to, if you didn't know before, because they were named and have a title and have Scion in it. Now, all the spotlighters of the Eternal World storyline are going to have a hero badge in between their strength and health. So look forward to that. They haven't nothing yet on whether that's going to be straight up a mechanic or it's just a cosmetic thing, but I find it very hard to believe that they just kind of decided to do that, 4 years into gameplay.
Right.
So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. We have a couple of new mechanics coming out. We'll talk about later on. Contract and what's the other one? Do you remember? Either of you guys remember off the top of your head?
That's
now?
the only one they've talked about so far.
Yeah, I've only heard of
really?
It just has like multiple keywords to it. Like there's like a whole debt mechanic to it.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that's what it was. Okay, fair enough. But we did want to take a moment to mention as well that the set will come out November 10th. So just under 2 weeks from now. And then, so that's going to be a little interesting on the show because I feel like when we get all the spoilers, the set comes out. So I'm not sure if it's going to work well with our schedule. If it doesn't, then maybe we'll do like a mechanic show or something like that and then do the full set review.
There will be the 1 week starting on the 3rd where they put the 60 commons and uncommons. So you can get early.
Yeah, I guess you're
Early
right. I guess we
access.
could.
Draft
Yeah, we
preview
could
starts
probably
in a
do
few
some
days.
like data mining and whatnot. Yeah. Okay, fair. So we may be able to get it off on time. That makes sense. Good call, Alex. The next open is going to be the draft open. That's roughly about 10 days after set release on the 19th of November. So we're all excited about that. Hopefully everyone's schedule works out to where you can make it. So if you guys can, well, by the time you're listening to this podcast, it's gonna be too late to get your badge. But actually, John, question: do the badges get rewarded as soon as you hit Masters, or is it the end
like
of the
I've
month
done
rewards?
it literally like after the open started. I'll go grind. I've gone from bronze to Masters and draft like after an open started and gotten my badge still. So you only have to have it before you literally click buy or enter the event or whatever.
John likes going down to the wire.
I do.
No joke. All right, sweet. Speaking of drafting, let me put this up on the screen real quick, because we do want to talk about this. We want to give a shout out to Dire Wolf and the devs. Whenever credits due, I think this is personally fantastic.
Yeah.
So thank you, Dire Wolf, for doing this. But they are doing two things. The first, the short and quick answer is that they are giving away somewhere between 150 and 200 cards for Expedition to everyone that logs in. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Have a Dire Wolf account, log in, and bam, they are gonna give you, let's just say 150 cards to your account from all levels of rarity that are going to be legal in Expedition for at least the upcoming year.
Well,
a full year.
Do that. Wow.
Yeah. So
It's like a catch-up
definitely
for new players.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think they're identified the fact that our player base is pretty low right now, and they haven't given up on Eternal. For the record, I don't think they ever are going to. I don't think it's ever going to be their biggest game, but I don't think they're ever going to give up on Eternal. But tell your friends and any old players that used to play or anyone that might be interested that literally, there's no prerequisite. They said it on the YouTube video. All you have to do is log into the game and you will get all these cards. The question is going to be towards the veteran players, because they did say that you are not going to be able to dust these cards, which makes sense, but they didn't say anything on what they're going to do to the enfranchised players that have all these cards. So I'm not sure. Someone on stream today, I think it might have been Gibbon or Tens, might have mentioned trying to identify what cards they're going to give us and then dusting all yours so you get them brand new when the set comes out, or whenever they do this, which I believe is going to be the day that Cold Hunt comes out, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
From what I've seen, it looks like you'll not want to dust them necessarily, because I think once Expedition rotates, they're not going to be in your collection anymore, to be completely honest. They haven't really been clear on that, but that's how it seems to me.
That'd be a little shady.
Yeah, would it though? The whole point is for players to play Expedition or whatever.
Well, I mean for like the new players, right? The new players that get all these cards and they start to build their collection.
Expedition, then you can, be more competitive and just earn packs of the day and get gold more easily and things like that, right? You're not just playing some crummy deck that you're not enjoying.
Fair.
And that would definitely explain why you can't dust them. So if you dust all these cards, you'll still have them in your collection because you have this. I don't know what it's called yet, but Expedition basic card pack or whatever. And then once it rotates out, I think you'll just be left with none of those cards, right?
If you have most of them, it should just give you a draft ticket.
Whatever. So for me, I'm just gonna keep my collection how it is, right? I'm not just gonna go crazy deconstructing these, especially not until they say for sure one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm on your same boat. I'm really not gonna whatever. I have plenty of ships thrown out, need it. So, but yeah, I think that's absolutely amazing that they're doing that. We kind of went off tangent, but I think that's great. I think it's absolutely awesome. And you can't get any better about lowering the barrier of entry, right?
Yeah.
It's just literally log in and
a lot of playable cards, right? Hopefully they're good cards and not just, Expedition chaff or whatever.
The ones they showed in the article didn't seem too bad. I didn't see any that just screamed out at me like, "Oh man, I can't believe they're giving everyone this card." But at the same time, they were cards I was like, "Yeah, those are very playable."
At the same time, giving more access to constructed, they're also doing it for limited as well.
Yep, exactly. And that's the big thing that I wanted to talk about is that I can't remember now. It probably was over a year ago now, probably. But they had not initially, but they had reworked the rewards program for whatever reason. The schematics and statistics they were following on the economy, they felt like they wanted to rework them. And I don't remember seeing too much of a pushback, to be honest with you. I don't remember. Like, I kind of breezed through that whenever it did happen. But they are reworking the draft rewards again. And this time, for the most part, it is in our favor. I say mostly because I believe someone said that the 0 and 1 win rewards are significantly less now. They've kind of catered a little bit more top end, but I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I just didn't follow my 1, 2, and 3 wins deck that much. But anywho, long story short, let's go ahead and break to it because I feel like we're being a little long-winded in this part. The draft cost is still going to be 5,000 gold. That is not going to change. And then what is it? Is it 300 gold or gems? 500 gems? Do any of you remember how much it is in gems?
It's 500 gems, yeah.
Okay, so that's going to stay the same. But I guess the 5,000 gold is the important part because it's free to play are probably the people that are most paying attention to this. You're still going to get your 4 packs, your 2 packs of the current set, and your 2 packs of the Eternal draft packs. But then now, for 0 wins, you're going to get 250 gold, 2 premium uncommons, and that's it. Then you're going to get 500 gold for 1 win. You're going to get 1,250 for 2 wins plus premium uncommon and a regular rare. Then you get 2,500. Then 4,000. Then here you go at 5 wins. You're going to get 5,500 gold and 2 regular rares. So getting 5 wins now makes your next draft free plus some, which I think is absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
I mean, it's great.
Yeah, 5 wins and be able to draft again plus some extra money in your pocket is absolutely amazing. 6 wins gets you 6,500 gold, 6,500 with 2 rares. And then here's a pretty neat part too, honestly, I think. The 7 wins gets you 7,000 gold and a rare and a legendary to add to your collection. So I personally think these are great. I think I've heard of a couple of people saying that there's some pushback because they wanted like pack rewards, but I don't know. You're getting guaranteed rares and more gold to draft more. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
And some people really like the ability for chests to upgrade, but like whatever.
No, I like the set amount. Like 3
me too.
wins buying you in. It's halfway into another draft. Like that's very fair.
This rewards like consistency and like people like you guys who draft. It's like you draft all the time, and you're like spending all this money for gems to draft and things like that. It's like this should mean that you're not having to spend so much because you guys are solid, consistent drafters. So
I would say a lot of the decks fall within 3, 4, and 5 wins,
right?
And that's not bad.
It's so much more reasonable to me. Like I love this change.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, Alex. I think the majority of decks are exactly that. 3, 4, and 5 win decks, and that's where the rewards are really solid. I mean, minimum if you go 3 and 3, your next draft is half.
Getting like the set 7,000 for 7 wins, it's like now you're getting like 6,000 if you're lucky with the chests.
Right.
So like, yeah, that's great.
And not to scoff at a guaranteed legendary, like
no, I think I like that better than the packs. Because I'm trying to fill out the collection with the rares and the mostly legendaries, so I like that better.
I think overall you get like the rewards come in the form of more gold versus like slightly less cards. And for like people who like to draft, that's like nothing but gravy.
Gravy,
yeah, I agree.
Gravy train.
Yep. So another kudos to Direwolf to kind of identify the economy and their player base and accommodate things. I think this is absolutely phenomenal, and I do think we'll see an increase in people drafting because of this.
I think so too. I think it's a good move.
I mean, I caught Marvin the Imp that doesn't play Constructed. I mean, he literally just rare drafts all his gold away when the new set comes out, just to bot draft or whatnot. He was drafting today. He went 7-1. So nice. I mean, the fact that you could sit here and get a return, make money on drafting is pretty impressive, and once again, I'm right there with you guys. I'm very much a 3 to 5 win drafter. I'm by no means no Ant-Man or John or Alex or Hats on Lamps that just sits there and rattles off freaking 6 and 7 win decks like back to back. And I'm still excited about this. So I think it's going to be a really great thing. So yeah, shout out to Direwolf for doing this.
Now they did say that this was like a not necessarily going to be a forever thing. They're going to, monitor it or whatever, but I'm hopeful that it is.
Yeah, like, so what's the right answer? If they get more people, it's probably not. It's probably a combination of. Right? It's probably a combination of the two, right? If more people are drafting, that they probably appreciate these changes, but at the same time, if it's giving away more free drafts, then that's probably not the best thing either. So I think it has to be like a happy medium, right?
Yeah, if it's just the same pool of players that are playing and just getting more gold and not buying gems as much, then they'll take it away. But if it brings in more players, it's like a nice balance. Hopefully the bringing in of new players is bigger than the just really good drafters just always getting, 6 or 7 wins and going infinite on it or whatever.
And scaring away the more casual drafters. Like, fingers crossed that this continues.
See, but even then, like, I don't know, like, for example, I don't get to play that much. I do dabble in constructed, but man, I can't remember the last time I had to spend gems on a draft. But I mean, I draft all the time, so that's gotta, I don't know, am I part of the problem?
Have you ever used gems to buy the draft tickets? Because then you kind of have, right?
I get the pre-order bundles. I get my draft tickets off the pre-order bundles, but most of the time my gems just go to the competitive events. I rather spend my gold. I know spending gold is spending gold, period, but I feel like it's a better rate. I personally feel spending gold on the competitive events is probably the worst rate on gold return. I could be wrong. It's just a time thing for me, and I'm like, man, I could get this many drafts out of that versus the one tournament. But yeah, like for me, I buy the pre-order bundles because I want to support Direwolf, and I could show it off on stream for other people that are considering it. And then I use it just for a time saver to buy into the competitive events. But then I only use gold for the campaigns and the drafts is how I work my money. And like I said, minus whenever we had the last round of goblin drafting, I haven't spent gold or gems on a draft in a hot minute.
Like, speaking of the pre-order bundles, the one for this upcoming set was really good. The bundle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got the premium one. I got the full premium one. So I'll open the 5 premium packs on, maybe not on stream. I might just make a YouTube video and post it up there for everyone to see if they're interested or whatnot. And then, the play mat's pretty slick. I'm not the biggest fan of this round of premium sigils, to be honest with you, but they came with the pack, and then I got, what was it? It was 5 or 6 draft tickets with the premium one.
It was like 8 if you bought it on their website.
Yeah, it was 5, and then the 3 extra from the website. It was 8.
Oh, holy Jesus! Yep, nice. Yep, yeah. I got 8 draft tickets because I don't think it tells you, does it? I don't remember.
Like, if you're in a draft, it doesn't. But when I went back in today, I had 8 draft tickets.
Yeah, so I probably got 8 too because I literally haven't drafted in a week because I was thinking the pre-release was this week, but it's not. So poop.
I love that they added these like premium packs too. I'm kind of excited to see what people open in this.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I didn't realize it, but I guess Cass every time he does League, he gets the premium one, and I haven't done that yet because I don't know. Like, but I guess it kind of he brought up a very good point. The weeks that they do, the first week is all of the new set. That makes a lot of sense because you're getting 8 packs of nothing but premiums for the new set. So that seems pretty good. I haven't done it yet, but I haven't been playing that many League. I don't know. What do you guys think?
that is a little excessive. I'd have to have a lot of disposable income before I'm buying into premium League every month. I only play League like 3 months out of the year anyway.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that too. It is pretty pricey, isn't it? Like just a scotch.
It's a good value, but like I feel like if you draft a lot, you don't need to worry about all the packs and whatever really.
I only did League this time because of the card back. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. I think all 3 of us did it because of that.
Yeah, when it's a particularly nice card back, I do still do it. But like, I'm still just gonna rock that like upgrade expedition card back probably forever. I love that one. I've got it fully upgraded.
Yeah, I'm still rocking the Airmont card back from one of the Promises of Firelight or something like that. It's that one or the Sloth are pretty much the two I rock. But I agree, the Expedition one is nice. I have that one maxed out. I checked the other day. And then, yeah, the one this month was pretty good, which was nice because what was it? Was it the lava or the fireburst one that looked really cool as a picture? And then the actual in game, it was kind of meh.
Yeah.
It was like lava or something like that. So, but yeah, all right, that will do it for that. Not too much to talk about, but we definitely wanted to touch on it because I thought it was super cool that they did it. I mean, it was great. It's absolutely lets us know that they're listening and they're doing things, and now we kind of got to do our part to get a couple more people in on whatnot. But that will do it, guys. That is it. We're saying farewell to Revelations and hello to Cold Hunt, and I as well will go ahead and speak for you guys. Are looking very forward to some new mechanics, some new interactions, some new cards. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Story wise, we're going back to Myria, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the original continent. So we're going back there and going back to see our OG people. So excited about that. But that will do it for us this week, guys. Of course, remember, you can check us out on youtube.com/EternalJourney or at twitch.tv/Jedi_EJ every Saturday and Sunday. That'll do it to us. I think that will do it for us. Jeez, English. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening. And let us know what you think of the new set whenever it comes out. Until then, as always, happy gaming.
Happy Halloween and Cold Hunt hype.
Yeah, good luck with your draft queues, everyone. Happy Halloween.